Solve this problem, and I'll hand you $100 million. Victor Kane's finger stabbed toward 8-year-old Lily Chen like she was an insect beneath his shoe. The girl stood motionless, gripping her worn backpack while her mother quietly collected garbage bins around 180 stone-faced investors. Kane's lips curled into a sneer that belonged on a villain's face. Perhaps a kid can crack what my Stanford geniuses couldn't figure out. Brutal laughter echoed through Technova Corporation's glass-walled conference room. Lily's mother reached for her daughter's shoulder, attempting to guide her toward the door. 3 million live-stream watchers witnessed the tech mogul crush a child's dignity for entertainment.
At Bonds Unspoken, we believe every heartwarming story, whether between humans or their animal companion, deserves to be told and heard. If you agree, please like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you can join us every time another Bond speaks louder than words.
Behind Kane, monitors blazed with crimson warnings. His revolutionary artificial intelligence platform had collapsed 4 days ago. 50 elite programmers stood defeated, faces pale with exhaustion and failure. Lily stared at those flashing screens with strange focus. Her tiny hands trembled like she was calculating invisible problems in the air. Not one adult registered the flash of understanding in her coal-black eyes. They were seconds away from learning the most humiliating lesson money could buy. The nightmare had begun 96 hours earlier when Technova's self-driving vehicle intelligence started producing deadly mathematical mistakes. Vehicles were slamming into barriers. Legal claims were piling up like autumn leaves. Kane's company valuation had evaporated by $4 billion in 4 days. Now, inside this steel and marble tower overlooking Seattle, Kane faced circling predators. Honda's leadership sat rigid as statues in row 1. Tesla's delegation whispered frantically in hushed tones. General Motors representatives kept glancing at their devices, likely calculating how much market dominance they'd stolen from Technova's disaster. Distinguished guests, Kane's voice carried false confidence that fooled nobody. We're managing a brief technical setback with our primary algorithm. My specialists guarantee resolution within brief. Honda's chief executive interrupted sharply. Your platform killed 6 people in Osaka 2 days ago. Kane's jaw clenched hard enough to crack molars. Behind him, 47 engineers hunched over glowing laptops, their exhausted faces bathed in blue screen light. Yale doctorates, Stanford masters, Princeton scholars, the cream of American academia, failing spectacularly in real time. Dr. Jennifer Park, his chief systems architect, approached with shaking fingers clutching a tablet. Victor, we've attempted every solution. Deep learning reconfiguration, network restructuring, complete code overhauls. Nothing's working. The live stream counter displayed 3.1 million viewers now. Technology websites were proclaiming it Technova's funeral. Social platforms exploded with jokes about Kane's arrogance finally destroying him. Lily observed from her forgotten corner, invisible to everyone except her mother, who worked methodically through the pandemonium. The small girl had been visiting these corporate towers since she could toddle. While other children played with dolls, Lily studied glowing numbers on abandoned computer screens. She'd learned reading from discarded coding textbooks, absorbed basic programming from overheard conversations between burnt-out engineers. Her playground was the server facility. Her bedtime stories were the steady hum of massive cooling systems. Kane prowled the room like a trapped predator. "This demonstrates why we demand excellence," he declared to empty air. "Authentic programming requires legitimate education. prestigious university credentials, decades of intensive study. His gaze swept the space with contempt. You can't simply appear without background and comprehend sophisticated platforms. Intelligence isn't universal. It's cultivated through privilege, breeding, and exclusive education. Lily's mother, Maria, emptied another waste container. 22 years scrubbing these floors. 22 years watching brilliant minds solve impossible puzzles while her daughter sat forgotten in shadowy corners. The irony would have been poetic if it weren't so devastating. Kane's phone vibrated relentlessly. Directors, investors, competitors detecting weakness. Every major technology corporation was preparing buyout proposals for Technova's intellectual property once bankruptcy proceedings started. "Sir," his aide whispered urgently, "the automotive delegations are threatening departure." Kane straightened his silk tie, projecting confidence he absolutely didn't possess. This demonstration was meant to prove Technova's superiority. Instead, it became his public execution by 1,000 cuts. The room's atmosphere suffocated like smoke. Billion-dollar contracts hung suspended in limbo. Thousands of careers awaited judgment. The entire autonomous vehicle industry balanced on this single razor's edge. Lily shifted in her plastic chair, her developing mind processing patterns that eluded the adults surrounding her. She'd been observing their displays for 90 minutes, watching them pursue complex theories while overlooking something beautifully obvious. But she was merely a child, a janitor's daughter, someone to ignore, dismiss, forget. Kane checked his platinum watch. The presentation should have lasted 3 hours. He'd already wasted 52 minutes stammering excuses and technical stalling. Perhaps, suggested Tesla's representative with calculated precision, we should explore alternative collaborations, companies with more dependable systems. The words struck Kane like physical punches. His empire was disintegrating in real time, transmitted to millions, observed by the industry's most powerful decision-makers. Maria finished with the final trash receptacle and moved toward Lily. Time to leave. Time to let important people handle important matters. But Lily's eyes remained locked on those crimson flashing monitors, her mind racing through possibilities that would transform everything within minutes. What happens when the single person holding the answer is the one nobody considers asking? Lily stood as her mother reached for her hand. "Mommy, wait." Maria looked embarrassed. "Lily, no. These people are working." But Lily's eyes stayed glued to the main display screen. Numbers and alerts cascaded everywhere. While the engineers typed desperately, Lily saw something they'd completely missed. Kane was explaining to the automotive executives why they needed additional time when Lily's small voice sliced through the tension. "Excuse me, please." The room went silent. 180 heads turned toward an 8-year-old girl who had zero business speaking during this billion-dollar catastrophe. Kane's face darkened like a storm cloud. "Not now, sweetheart. The grown-ups are working." Lily took 3 careful steps forward, her backpack swinging. "I think I see the problem." Uncomfortable chuckles rippled through the investor crowd. Honda's CEO raised one eyebrow with amusement. Tesla's team exchanged entertained glances. "That's adorable." Kane's voice dripped condescension thick as honey. "But this is rocket science, honey. Maybe you should stick to coloring books." Dr. Park started to intervene gently, but Lily pressed forward with surprising confidence. "The computer is confused." Kane gestured dramatically at the wall of flashing alerts. "Yes, obviously it's malfunctioning. That's why we have 50 specialists trying to—" "No," Lily interrupted with unexpected certainty. "It's not broken. It just doesn't understand what you're asking it." The room fell dead silent. Every engineer stopped typing simultaneously. Lily pointed at the main screen with her small finger. "Right there. You're telling the computer to do something, but you meant to ask it a question. Dr. Park squinted at the display, following Lily's finger to a specific code line buried among thousands. It's like when you say your name is Jennifer instead of asking, "Is your name Jennifer?" Lily explained simply. The computer gets mixed up between telling and asking. Kane's confidence wavered slightly. That's not how programming functions. Can I show you? Lily asked with fearless childhood curiosity. The live stream viewer count hit 3.8 million. Comments flooded faster than moderators could read them. Hashtag 8-year-old VCEO began trending worldwide within seconds. Honda CEO leaned forward with genuine interest. I'd like to see what the child suggests. Kane felt trapped completely. Refusing would appear petty and small. Agreeing would validate a child's opinion over his team's expertise. Fine, he said through clenched teeth. Dr. Park, let her point out whatever she thinks she sees. When nothing happens, perhaps we can return to serious work. Lily walked to Dr. Park's workstation, completely unintimidated by the room full of powerful adults watching her every movement. Here, she pointed at the screen. The computer thinks you're changing something instead of checking something. You need to fix how you ask the question. Dr. Park stared at the line Lily indicated. Such a microscopic detail buried in millions of calculations. Her fingers trembled as she made the smallest possible adjustment. One keystroke, one tiny symbol modification. She pressed enter. The room held its collective breath like divers underwater. Error messages continued cascading for one eternal moment. Then, one by one, they began vanishing like ghosts at sunrise. System status lights shifted from angry red to cautious yellow to triumphant green. Within 60 seconds, every screen displayed perfect operation. The AI platform hummed back to life, running smoothly for the first time in 4 days. Lily smiled with quiet satisfaction. Sometimes computers just need you to ask nicely. Kane stood frozen, watching his billion-dollar crisis dissolve because of advice from a child who wasn't even old enough for middle school. The room erupted in urgent whispers. Phones buzzed with frantic messages. The automotive executive sat up straighter, suddenly very interested in continuing negotiations. But this was merely the beginning of Kane's humiliation. What happens when an 8-year-old embarrasses the smartest people in the room on live television before millions? The room exploded into controlled chaos. Engineers rushed to their screens, confirming what seemed physically impossible. The system was running flawlessly. 4 days of failure fixed by a child's single observation. Kane's face cycled through disbelief, embarrassment, and mounting anger. That can't be correct. One microscopic change? Our entire team missed one microscopic change for 4 days straight? Dr. Park pulled up system diagnostics, her voice shaking with amazement. Victor, she's absolutely right. Response time has improved 43%. Error rates dropped to 0 across all systems. Honda CEO stood abruptly, suddenly animated. Show us the performance analytics. The main screen filled with green bars and upward trending graphs. Every measurement showed dramatic improvement nobody could deny. The automotive executives leaned forward, whispering excitedly among themselves with renewed interest. Kane felt his authority slipping away like sand through fingers. Even if that's accurate, which I find difficult to believe, anyone could have spotted that eventually. It was simply a matter of time before discovery. Lily tilted her head with the innocent wisdom that only children possess. But you didn't spot it, Mr. Kane, and time costs money, doesn't it? Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd like electricity. Several investors pulled out their phones, frantically texting updates to their firms. Kane's assistant whispered urgently in his ear about social media exploding. Hashtag Lily the Genius was trending alongside hashtag Kane the Blind. Stock prices were responding in real time to a child's success story. "This is absolutely ridiculous," Kane announced to the room. "One lucky guess doesn't make someone a programmer. Real software engineering requires years of training, advanced degrees, systematic methodology, and proven experience." Lily looked around the room of 50 experts who had failed where she succeeded. "Maybe sometimes you just need fresh eyes that aren't afraid to look." Dr. Park couldn't hide her fascination anymore. "Lily, how did you see that when we all missed it?" "You were all looking at the hard parts," Lily explained simply. "But the mistake was in the easy parts. Nobody checks the easy parts because they seem too simple to be wrong." Tesla's technical director spoke up with cautious interest. "What other easy parts haven't we checked thoroughly?" Lily studied the screens again, her young mind processing patterns that escaped the adults completely. "There are more places like that one. Want me to show you where they are?" Kane stepped between Lily and the screens physically. "Absolutely not. This has gone far enough already. We have protocols, procedures, and professional standards that must be maintained." "Are you afraid she'll find more mistakes?" Honda's CEO asked pointedly with razor precision. The question hung in the air like a sword waiting to drop. Kane realized he was trapped by his own arrogance perfectly. Saying yes would admit incompetence publicly. Saying no would look like he was terrified of an 8-year-old child. "Fine," Kane said through clenched teeth that ground together audibly. "But when she can't find anything else, this circus ends immediately." Lily approached the wall display with quiet confidence that seemed impossible for her age. She studied the scrolling code for 30 seconds, then pointed to another section carefully. "Here, same problem exactly. You're telling the car to speed up instead of asking if it should speed up first." Dr. Park checked the line with trembling fingers. Her face went pale as hospital sheets. "She's right again. Completely right." And here, Lily pointed to a different area without hesitation. "The car thinks it should always brake hard instead of checking how hard to brake based on conditions." More frantic typing filled the silence. More confirmations of Lily's accuracy echoed through the room. "How are you doing this?" Dr. Park whispered with genuine awe. Lily shrugged with childlike simplicity that cut through complexity. "When my mom cleans windows, she checks every corner carefully. You guys only looked at the middle parts where the big problems seemed to be hiding." Kane watched his team of Stanford graduates being schooled by a child who learned programming from watching through office windows at night. His billion-dollar company's reputation was crumbling on live television before 4 million viewers now. "Even if she's found a few basic errors," Kane said desperately, grasping at straws, "that doesn't mean she understands our complex systems architecture, our integrated frameworks, our sophisticated protocols." Lily looked at him with surprising directness that made adults uncomfortable. "I don't understand everything you built, but I understand when something's asking the wrong question in the wrong way." General Motors representatives spoke up from the back row. "How many more wrong questions are buried in your systems?" Lily scanned the screens one more time with focused intensity. "Lots, maybe hundreds scattered everywhere. They're everywhere once you know what pattern to look for." The room buzzed with excitement and horror simultaneously. Hundreds of errors meant their vehicles had been dangerous for months, possibly years. It also meant Lily could potentially save countless lives moving forward. Kane felt his world tilting sideways off its axis. "This is impossible. You can't just waltz in here without credentials and—" "And actually," interrupted Tesla's technical director coldly, "this child has demonstrated more practical insight in 15 minutes than we've seen from your team in 4 days of failure." The live stream comments were going absolutely insane with reactions. Programming professors from Stanford and MIT were logging in to verify Lily's findings publicly. Tech journalists were writing headlines in real time, publishing articles as events unfolded. Dr. Park looked at Lily with newfound respect and wonder. Would you be willing to help us find the other errors throughout our systems? Kane's voice cracked with desperation that everyone heard. She's 8 years old. This is a billion-dollar corporation, not a daycare center for curious children. Then maybe, Honda CEO said coldly with cutting precision, your billion-dollar corporation should hire better programmers who actually check their work. The insult hit Kane like a physical punch to the stomach. His own clients were turning against him because of a child's success story. Lily's mother, Maria, finally stepped forward, overwhelmed by the attention surrounding her daughter. "Lily, maybe we should go now. These people have important work to finish without us." "No," said General Motors representative firmly with authority. "I think Lily's work is the most important thing happening in this room right now." Kane realized he was losing control completely and utterly. His experts were being outperformed publicly. His clients were taking the child's side unanimously. His authority was evaporating in front of millions of viewers watching worldwide. But Lily wasn't finished revealing his failures yet. She had more surprises that would shake Kane's world to its very foundation within hours. But Lily's eyes had stopped on something else, something in the deepest layer of code that made her freeze. Kane's phone buzzed. Again. He turned it face down. An executive held up his tablet. "Your stock's up 14%. One phone showed a headline, 8-year-old saves Technova. Executives typed posts, shared articles, tagged colleagues. Honda's team had closed their departure documents. Tesla pulled out contracts. Honda's CEO stood at the table's head. "Dr. Kane, I propose we extend this consultation." Kane forced a laugh. That's ridiculous." Kane paced. "Life and death technology, autonomous vehicles, hospital equipment." Tesla's director leaned forward. "Just what? Trust someone who's already proven herself?" A phone chimed. Then another. Notifications of new viewers, new shares. On the conference room TV, CNN showed Lily's face. Breaking news banner underneath. Voices rose around Lily. She watched the new screens Dr. Park opened. Dr. Park clicked through systems. Traffic grids, hospital networks, financial platforms, power infrastructure. Dr. Park knelt beside Lily's chair. "What do you see here?" Kane moved fast toward the screen. "Don't answer that. Critical infrastructure, 3 continents, one mistake could—" Lily turned to him. "Could what? Make them better?" Silence. Someone closed their laptop to listen. General Motors representative opened his laptop. "Our analysis shows 91% error reduction. Millions in liability costs, annually." Kane's voice rose. "She's a child. Liability, regulations, compliance." Lily's head tilted. "Do computers care about that?" "They just want clear instructions." Lily pointed at the code. "They don't care who gives them." Dr. Park's mouth twitched up. Kane's shoulders slumped. Kane's assistant appeared at his elbow, whispered fast. "Sir, Microsoft on 1, Amazon on 2. They want to talk about—" "About Lily," Kane said it for her. Executives stood, moved closer. Phones came out again. 3 executives were on phones now. One said Microsoft twice. Another said partnership. Kane glanced at his phone. 15 missed calls from board members, 8 from investors. Kane moved to the wall. "This has gone too far." Honda's CEO stood, extended his hand to Maria. "We'd like Lily to stay. Substantial consultancy fees. Child labor laws, legal restrictions, work permits." Lily's voice was small. "Can I just look at the other screens?" Every voice stopped. Minutes passed. Lily pointed again. Same problems. Questions and commands confused. Engineers verified. Confirmed. Someone said months under their breath. Kane watched his clients surround an 8-year-old. His engineer stood back, forgotten. Financial systems next. 23 minutes, 19 errors. One investor went pale. "We run trades on this system." Kane's phone face up on the table, call after call lighting the screen. Kane's assistant held up her phone. "Google just called. Apple, Facebook." Kane's voice dropped. "Broke. Stop. Stop." Kane's hand went up, palm out. "My company." Kane paced. "My systems. My team." He stopped pacing, mouth opened. Nothing came. Then, "Some untrained child making us look." Lily turned from the screen. "I'm not making you look incompetent, Mr. Kane. You already were. I'm just showing everyone." No one moved. No one breathed. Kane stood frozen, his mouth still open. What happens when fixing the obvious problems reveals the hidden ones nobody suspected? And then Lily's face changed. Her finger moved to a section of code none of them had seen. "Wait, this part. This doesn't match the others. Someone put this here on purpose." The automotive executives exchanged uncertain glances around the room. Maybe Kane was right after all. Maybe Lily's success had been coincidental luck. Kane pushed his advantage aggressively. "Of course, if you're scared, we can call this whole thing off right now. No shame in admitting when you're out of your depth completely." Lily looked up at him with calm determination that seemed impossible. "I'm not scared, Mr. Kane. Are you?" The challenge hung in the air like electricity before a storm. Kane realized he'd just been goaded into a public bet by an 8-year-old. But backing down now would look even worse than losing. "Fine. 24 hours starting now." The clock began ticking at 3:47 p.m. exactly. Lily sat at Dr. Park's workstation, her small hands barely reaching the keyboard comfortably. The main screen showed system after system: financial networks, medical databases, transportation grids, communication infrastructure spanning continents. Hour 1 arrived quickly. Lily developed her strategy methodically. Instead of reading every line of code individually, she looked for pattern repetitions throughout. The same types of mistakes appeared hundreds of times across different systems, like fingerprints. Hour 3 brought the first breakthrough. Lily identified 7 common error patterns that appeared hundreds of times throughout Technova's code. Each pattern represented the same basic confusion between asking and telling that computers couldn't resolve alone. Kane paced nervously, checking his watch every few minutes obsessively. The live stream audience had grown to 6.8 million viewers now. Betting pools opened on social media about Lily's chances of success. Hour 5 passed steadily. Lily's systematic approach began paying dividends. She found clusters of errors in the financial trading system that could have triggered market crashes affecting millions. Dr. Park verified each discovery with growing amazement that showed on her face. Kane started his psychological warfare campaign. "Getting tired yet, Lily? This isn't like finding 1 or 2 simple mistakes anymore. This is serious work requiring stamina and focus." Hour 8 arrived as evening fell. Lily had identified over 230 critical errors systematically. Each fix improved system performance measurably and consistently. Her method was working perfectly, but the scope was absolutely enormous. Kane sensed doubt creeping into the room's atmosphere. Look at her exhaustion. She's just a child. This is exactly why we have age restrictions in professional environments requiring maturity. Maria brought Lily a sandwich, worried about her daughter pushing so hard. "Lily, maybe you should rest for a while." "I'm okay, Mommy. I'm starting to understand how Mr. Kane's programmers think. They make the same mistakes over and over in predictable patterns." Hour 12 came at midnight. Lily had found over 470 errors across dozens of systems, but thousands more lines of code remained unchecked. Kane's confidence grew as fatigue showed on Lily's young face clearly. Perhaps we should call this off. It's past a reasonable bedtime for children anywhere. The media coverage intensified dramatically. News anchors debated whether Kane was exploiting child labor or teaching valuable lessons about overconfidence and hubris. Hours 16 passed slowly. Lily discovered something deeply troubling in the hospital management system. Not just simple errors, but fundamental security vulnerabilities that could allow hackers to access patient records illegally. "Mr. Kane," Lily said quietly with concern, "bad people could break into your hospital computers and steal sick people's private information." Kane dismissed her concern immediately. "Our security protocols are industry standard. You wouldn't understand enterprise cybersecurity frameworks." But Dr. Park ran deeper diagnostics and went pale as death. "Victor, she's absolutely right. We have massive security holes throughout our medical systems." Hour 20 arrived with dawn light. Lily was running on determination alone now. She'd found over 680 errors, but Kane kept moving the goalposts constantly. "Even if you find 1,000 mistakes," Kane announced loudly, "that doesn't prove you understand our quality assurance processes, our testing protocols, our deployment strategies, our maintenance procedures." Lily looked up with tired eyes that could barely focus. "I understand that your computers are scared and confused. They just want someone to give them clear instructions they can follow." Hour 22 came quickly. Lily made her final discovery buried deep. Hidden in the deepest layers of Technova's code were systematic backdoors carefully placed. Someone had been secretly accessing their systems for months, stealing everything. "Mr. Kane," Lily's voice was small but urgent with worry, "someone's been stealing from your computers for a very long time." Kane rushed to see what she'd found frantically. His face went white as paper as he realized the catastrophic implications. Hour 24 arrived precisely. The deadline hit exactly. Lily had identified 892 distinct errors across Technova's entire infrastructure systematically. More importantly, she'd exposed a massive data breach that could have destroyed the company completely. Kane stood before the room, his earlier confidence completely shattered and gone. The 8-year-old he tried to humiliate had just saved his billion-dollar empire from catastrophic failure. The automotive executives waited for Kane's response tensely. 6.9 million viewers held their breath simultaneously. Lily sat quietly, exhausted but victorious beyond question. "Well, Dr. Kane," Honda's CEO asked pointedly with authority, "does the child get her $100 million? Kane's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for oxygen. "Ladies and gentlemen," Kane's voice barely whispered now, transformed by humility, "I owe someone an enormous apology and an even larger check." He turned to Lily, who sat quietly beside her mother. "Lily Chen," Kane's voice cracked with emotion, "you have not only earned the $100 million prize, but you've saved this company from catastrophic failure, exposed massive criminal activity, and taught us all lessons about wisdom, competence, and courage." The room erupted in thunderous applause that wouldn't stop. Kane formally apologized on camera for underestimating her abilities, dismissing her insights, and assuming that intelligence requires credentials rather than clarity of thought. Lily looked at him with generous forgiveness only children possess. "It's okay, Mr. Kane. Grown-ups make mistakes too sometimes." The FBI arrived within hours. The data breach was the largest in corporate history. Kane's systems had been compromised for 18 months by organized criminals. Lily's story sparked a global movement overnight. Companies began hiring fresh eyes consultants everywhere. Universities created programs for unconventional thinkers. Parents started truly listening to their children's insights finally. But the real change happened in millions of individual hearts worldwide. People who had been dismissed, overlooked, or silenced found courage to speak up. Lily proved that brilliance doesn't require credentials or pedigree. It requires courage to see clearly and speak truthfully. How many Lilies are sitting quietly in corners right now, waiting for someone to listen?
If stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Bonds Unspoken. Every click helps us share more incredible moments that celebrate the bond between humans and animals. And be sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story that reminds us what true loyalty feels like.